just a few days before the Iowa opener here, and it's sure looking like it's going to be a lot different than last year, at least for that opening week. Last year we had multiple cold fronts, really good hunting conditions for those first 7 days of October, and I killed on that second really good cold front on October 7th. Now I'm looking for it's like 90 degrees today. The opener's going to be around 90 degrees. I don't think we're even going to get in the 70s until the 7th or 8th. So, going to be tough conditions to hunt for opening week. I'll probably, we'll see. I might go in after a buck, but more than likely focus on knocking some does down, setting some new spots, things like that. Right now, today, though, I'm on the new property. And obviously, I'd like to be doing this a while ago, but just run out of time to get things done, and only so many hours in the day. So it is a couple days before season opens, and I'm out here doing quite a bit of work today. I'm basically focusing on stands and cameras, and adding a little bit of fertilizer to some of these plots via foliar application. And this is one of the one plot ASAP plots that I planted, calling this the stump plot. And I'm actually really happy with how it looks for the conditions we've had. It's been super dry and, obviously hot, which is the worst combination. But I have kind of helped limp this along with some foliar applied fertilizer, and overall I'm pretty happy with how it looks. I'd like at least one more shot of rain. Hopefully we'll get it, but this is a spot that the deer are in nonstop. A lot of pictures in here, and so I'm gonna actually hang some sticks, not a stand. I'm gonna hang some sticks in one of these oak trees over on this side. I got to finalize which one it is. But in general, as if you've watched my hunts, obviously I do a lot of hanging hunts. But there are certain cases where if it's a stand, I'm likely to hunt a decent amount. I'll at least put the sticks up, save a little bit of time. Or if it's a spot that's way back in there, especially, I'll not have to carry sticks in. I'll have them already on the tree. And the other thing I'm doing today too is, rather than just going completely blind on a hanging hunt, obviously this is my property, and I plan to hunt it for a long time to come. I'm still going to do a lot of hanging hunts because I like bouncing around and learning, but I'll go in and I'll actually find trees this time of year or early in the off season, mark them on hunt stand on the map, and that way I know it's a good tree. I know it's got shooting lanes, and maybe I'll even do some trimming, but it makes that hanging hunt process really easy when you already have the right tree in mind. So I'm doing some of that today as well, basically focusing on a lot of stand locations. So I'm gonna start with this one and decide which tree I want to put these sticks in. There's a really good line of oaks right here on the edge of the plot. And I think I've got two options. I've got this one here that's kind of by itself, or there's one right in the middle over here too. I think both of them are going to be able to cover the plot just fine. This one that's right in the middle looks like it's going to be a little bit better setup as far as just the straightness of the trunk at the right height. Got it all trimmed out, ready to go, so that way I can just carry a stand in, hang it, and hunt. There's good things and bad things about those pin oak trees. They require a lot of trimming, so that's definitely a tree I don't like to do a hanging hunt in, a full hanging hunt. I like to have it somewhat prepped. But the nice thing is there's so many branches that you don't have to use a lot of sticks. I was able to use branches to get most of the way up the tree, so feel good about that one. I think as hot as this spot is right now with deer activity, that will be an early season spot. This clover chicory plot that I'm in, I've talked about it before, but this is a spot the first good buck showed up so far this year, and he's only shown up twice, I believe, and no really great pictures of him. He hasn't come close to the camera yet, but I think he'll move in once a lot of the crops start coming out and cover starts disappearing. I think this farm is going to set up really well for mature bucks to move into as their fall core areas. And so I'm looking forward to seeing him closer. He certainly looks to be a mature deer upon initial glance. But I've talked about how good this spot is. It's a small little 1/4 acre clover chicory plot. Little water hole down below. But these trees, I think I'm going to do the same thing I just did in the other plot. I think I'm going to hang in this middle oak tree. There's this big cottonwood tree where I could get up and see a long ways, but it's just a little bit too much over the top of the plot. I'd rather be 10 yards off of it. And these oak trees have plenty of cover. The cottonwood tree has probably enough trunks and splits to get away with it, but it's going to lose its cover early. Obviously, leaves are already starting to fall off of it, whereas I'll get to keep the cover on this oak tree. So I'm going to do the same thing, hang sticks, do any trimming, and this will be another spot that's ready to go. Just got to hang a stand when it's go time. The other thing that I'm doing while I'm out here is freshening up the scrapes. And this time of year, from the very end of September, pretty much through October, is when I see really good luck by adding the dominant buck scent, the intruder. This is especially when I know there's a mature buck in the area. It's really fun to see, and it's been really cool to hear everyone else's stories that have had similar experiences as me. But it's really cool to see almost the inciting of aggression when you start applying this to some of the scrapes in or near that core area where that mature buck is. It truly ups the activity. They'll come hit the scrape more often, trying to figure out that, or trying to overlay their scent to establish the dominance. But either way, it's been really cool to see how effective this is this time of year. Like I said, it's kind of a narrow window where I don't really see as much luck as we get into November and those territories are established. And I don't see much luck with it prior to the bucks kind of breaking up from their bachelor groups, like when they still tolerate each other. It's this period of time that we're in that I see the most luck. And so I'm going to put the intruder on every scrape that I go by, that I have a camera on. Every scrape that I go by today, I'm going to add the intruder, and I pretty much just do 4 or 5 sprays into the base of the scrape on the dirt or on the vegetation nearby. Another spot or part of the farm has been getting a lot of activity, especially buck activity. It seems like right now this early buck movement has been on this side of the farm, and so kind of keeping that in mind, I have one tree picked out at the end of this plot. Really easy access. I don't really need to mark it or hang sticks or anything. But two of the bucks that have been frequenting this area, especially in the last week or two, are both bucks that I recognize from the previous, well, from my postseason pictures, basically around shed season. And I think both are just good looking 4-year-olds, unfortunately, or fortunately, just not targets this year, but they seem to like this end of the farm for whatever reason. And especially the one, just a big, pretty, about perfectly symmetrical 10. It'll be fun to watch over the year, and hopefully get to see him next year. Taking a little walk right now on this old roadway. And this area off to my right is during my off-season scouting, just around shed season time frame, is where I saw the highest concentration of bucks on it. You could definitely tell there was likely a mature buck cored up in this area. It's also the area where it's probably got the thickest and most, I believe, white ash regeneration. You can see all these thousands of little white ash trees just a few feet tall. And so it really thickens this area up, especially at that ground level. It's got kind of a east to southeast slope to it, a bunch of cedar trees. So it sets up pretty well from a bedding standpoint. Not that the whole farm, doesn't also have a lot of that, but this is probably the highest concentration of that thick ground level cover. And like I said, this is where I saw the most buck sign in my scouting. And so as I'm walking through this road, I'm sure they go up and down this road. It'd be good to get a camera on here. But to be able to kind of see down in there, I think my better setup would actually be on this side of the roadway. And I've come to, there's two spots. If you look back here, if you can see it, there's a giant old oak tree that fell and created a big kind of pinch or barrier, making the deer, if they're going to traverse this way, they're going to come either to the road or almost to it. And so from that standpoint, I think maybe this white oak tree right there would be a really good stand spot. And then another 50 yards up, there's another big oak tree that fell as well. And so you got kind of two forced movements there, but it's going to allow me to, once I get up in a tree, I'm going to be able to see down into this thicker bedding area. And with being up against one of these big down trees, it's going to be really hard for a buck to get downwind of me in this spot. So that's the main reason I like this and why I was trying to look in this area. But what I'm going to go ahead and mark this white oak here on my phone as a possible hanging hunt stand. And again, just to kind of talk through the strategy a little bit more, people ask me all the time why I don't hang more permanent stands, even on the farm that I own, like this. And I've just seen way too much success when it comes to moving around. Those first time sits, that element of surprise. I've talked about it a ton over the years, so have other people. For me, it just works. And so, I like to, again, have these spots so it's not completely blind. I'll have this on my map, so I can come in here in the dark and know it's a good tree to do a hanging hunt in. But especially this is another easterly wind, kind of uncommon wind direction setup. There's no point in me having a ton of hang-on stands that just sit there. Potentially I don't even hunt it, again. And I tend to, if I have a permanent stand, I think along with most guys, you tend to overhunt it a little bit because it's convenient. And so I'm able to make decisions since I'm doing mostly hanging hunts. And again, a big part of it too is me just being really comfortable over the years with my hanging hunt setup. it's not frustrating for me to have to hang a stand and sticks for a hunt and take it down. I've just gotten really comfortable with the system and the process. But that combined with having that element of surprise, not burning these spots out, even making adjustments. Maybe I try that oak tree, that white oak, and on the next time I come down, move 40 yards up, and I'm in a different tree, and you completely eliminate that burnout aspect, especially when hunting mature bucks. So definitely gonna have this one marked on the map. I really like this spot. Could see it being a killer late October, early November setup once things get rocking. I'm excited with how things are coming together at the new property. Hopefully next time you see me there, it'll be from a tree stand. Of course, there's always things to be done, and I could spend every day scouting that place, but a lot of it's going to be a learning experience from actual time in the tree, seeing how the deer utilize the property, where I encounter the bucks, that type of stuff. So, like I said, I'm happy with how things are shaping up, the bucks that are showing up. One that I didn't mention that I'm struggling a little bit on age. I think he might be 5 based on postseason pictures last year, but could possibly be a 4-year-old too. There's just another big frame, heavy deer. He made a decent jump from last season to this season, from what it looks like. Again, he's popped in a couple of nights so far, but I have pretty good confidence that these bucks that are just making occasional appearances right now, they're eventually going to call this spot their home for the fall. Just in my experience, you get a lot of bucks making those little excursions during that September time frame, and when October, things settle in October, a lot of the crops coming out, these bucks usually settle into that good cover. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Try to get some more pictures or encounters with that buck and make a decision on him. But man, it's off to a good start, and I can't wait to get in the tree. Well, now that season is upon us, and the actual property work moving forward is going to be pretty limited over the next couple months, I wanted to wrap up and give some final thoughts on my experience using the John Deere Gator. As a refresher, this was a short-term partnership I did with them. Basically, they loaned me this Gator, the 845R, to be able to test out and utilize on my property, other properties, and just give some thoughts on it. And I've had people reach out wanting to know those thoughts, how I've liked it, and there's no doubt I've loved using it. I've used it a ton over the past couple months. Starting with cleaning up things on my new property, creating better access, being able to haul the chainsaw around and clean up branches, pull bigger trees out of the way with the winch. It was incredibly useful for that. And I've used a lot of UTVs, of course, in the past. Not necessarily mine, but other people's, other landowners. And there's no doubt some of them are built for either cruising to town and back, or around town, or getting from point A to point B as fast as possible. The Gator, in my opinion, this one and others that I've used, it's built for work. Just incredibly useful when it comes to an overall utility vehicle. And it really shines through in the design of it. I've utilized the bed. It's probably the biggest bed that I've used on a UTV. A ton, being able to haul stuff during the fall food plot season with fertilizer, seed, my water bladder, sprayer, all that type of stuff. Just well designed. It's deep. It's got attachments for different tool holders, a lot of tie down spots, different ways you can compartmentalize or organize the bed. One of my favorite features I didn't even get to use, they have a little 12 volt SAE power port built into the back of the bed for things like your sprayer. And I can't tell you how many times it's been frustrating in the past to utilize a sprayer in the bed where you run the cord, trying to keep it in a reachable spot. You know, it's coming in unplugged, it's always in the way. But to be able to have this plug in the bed, control it from the cab is awesome. So I'm hoping to be able to utilize that at some point in the future. But again, it's just those little things. It's just well thought out and plays into why the Gator makes such a good utility vehicle. You know, I had a chance to use it, you know, actually for the fall food plot process and pulling the cultipacker to pack that seed in, being able to get from field to field or plot to plot, pulling that thing has been very useful as well. And you know, the boundary mapping, that may be my favorite, is just the technology integrated into this. There's so many, I've barely scratched the surface on the usefulness of that. Being able to map out acreages, map out plots that you're going to seed, the spraying capability of it, just way more efficient coverage, no missed spots, no overlapping. Being able to map that stuff out is incredible to have on a UTV. And when you start doing a lot of food plots, you know, that stuff can really add up, just being a lot more efficient with the chemicals you're using or the seed you're using. So again, my experience overall with the Gator, the 845R, has been incredible. In fact, I'd love to try to find a way to buy this one so I can use it for years to come. But let me know if you have any questions. Again, I appreciate John Deere for the partnership and loaning me the vehicle for a couple months. And you know, it's just cool to see them thinking about our industry, keeping in mind our demographic, that type of stuff. So big shout out to them. You can check out more information on the John Deere website. And again, let me know if you have any questions on this or my experience with it. Like I said, season's upon us. Best of luck out there and be safe.